You couldn't care less, is that right? Yeah. What's your name? Tamara? You know something funny? Tamara, you couldn't care less, is that right? Isn't that right, Tamara? Yeah, sure you are, Tamara. Anyhow. It's a little too late to say I'm just playing the role, you know. We know for some people that's like teaching a dog to bark, isn't it? I mean, it's an amazing thing there. So Tamara, you couldn't care less, is that right? Hey, Tamara, you want to know coincidence? Neither could I. Because I care how you feel, not how you feel. But I do have a question for you, mediocres. You all more likely or less? Well, I guess you couldn't possibly be less. You all more likely to be out in the hallway? Some of you, yes. And you know what's funny? Tamara will be out there too. You know why? She wants to see who the goody two-shoes are who've been out in that dang hallway. And you know the nice thing about this? You can do this even if nobody's out in the hallway, because if nobody's out in the hallway, nobody knows nobody else out in the hallway, now do they? And you want to know what's amazing? I can read people's body language. There's people sitting in this auditorium that do not want a positive approach to work. It ruins their entire life's mission. I can read body language. There's people sitting there going, he's wrong. This didn't work because I still wouldn't be there. I'm sorry, what was my purpose? Oh, to get more. You know what's neat? I've taken away your power to ruin it for the rest of us, haven't I, for the first time? See, if I said all, if I have to wait till everybody agrees before I do something, then any one of you can ruin it for us, and I'm not going to let you ruin it anymore. I had a student named Curtis my first year when I was a teacher. I could not get Curtis to do his homework every day until I could figure out some way to get Curtis to do his homework one day. I couldn't get Curtis to stay awake in class every day till I could figure out how to get Curtis to stay awake in class one day. It's the funniest thing. Curtis used to come in, he'd sleep in every class. I don't know how on earth he did it. He'd wake up 30 seconds before the bell rings and he'd move to the next class and instantly go to sleep. I admired him. But you know what I realized? I started asking Curtis for a favor. And I said, Curtis, you know, I'm a first-year teacher here, and I'm not very good at what I'm doing, and I don't really know what I'm doing. I was wondering, I really want to get some feedback. I'm concerned that I don't call on boys and girls the same. I'm concerned I don't call on the front of the room or the back of the room. I'm concerned that I'm not equal in how I do that. So I was wondering if you could do me a favor. Curtis, here's a seating chart. And I was wondering on this seating chart, if every time I call on a kid, you could put a little mark next to the kid's name. And that way I could see a distribution. And to help me out a little more, I was wondering if you could do something a little more advanced here for me. When I call on a student whose hand's up, could you put a V by their name because they were a volunteer? If I call on a student whose hand isn't up, could you put an N by their name because they're a non-volunteer? And you know, it's really funny. I had to put up with this for a few days, and every day after class, I'd treat Curtis as if he was good. I'd go, Curtis, can I see that seating chart? What'd you think? Did you get any flows? Did you get any rhythm? And all of a sudden, Curtis starts marking that seating chart. But you know when I had him? After about a week and a half, Curtis came up to me and he goes, Mr. Whitaker, when I answer questions, should I go ahead and put marks by my name too? And that's how you know you have them. But you got to be able to figure that out. You got to be able to ask the right questions. It's amazing. You go in the bathroom's full of smoke. There's 3 kids in the bathroom. The bathroom's full of smoke. There's 3 kids in the bathroom. What do you say to them? You don't say, were you guys smoking? Do you know even like the dumb kids know the answer to that one? You know what you ask them? You go, do you guys smoke in here every day or is today the first time? How do they answer that? First time, first time. Okay, since it's your first time, come on with me, and that's what you needed anyhow now, isn't it? It's got to ask those right questions. How does the best teacher in your school handle kids when they come back from recess or lunch or the passing time? How do they treat the kids when they walk in the room? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for getting quiet. Do you know what that best teacher's doing? She's teaching. She's teaching the kids what she wants in a way the kids want to do it. She's teaching, and she does it whether or not any kids are quiet. And if for some weird reason, one day 2 kids actually are quiet, who do those 2 kids think that teacher was talking about? And the worst teacher in a school, what do they do to settle their kids down from recess or passing time or lunch? And I'm not talking about the first day of school. What do they do when they decide they get tired and they're going to take it out on somebody else? Me! What? And you know what that teacher ends up with, don't you? That teacher ends up with a whole class full of shoplifters. They don't have any more customers. And did you know every year on the first day of school, every one of us starts with 100% customers. Great principals understand they're the filter, and great teachers understand they're the filter too. When people ask you how your day's going, you know what you say? Great. You know why you say great? Because it doesn't help you not to. That's the whole reason you say great, because it doesn't help you not to. You know, I learned when I was a principal, if I had an angry parent, Mrs. Smith, coming in my office acting the fool, and Mrs. Smith's in there acting the fool, and finally I get a crowbar and I wedge her out of my office. And people go, how's your day going? You know what I say? Great, how are you doing? You know why I say that? Because it doesn't help me not to. It's really a huge help if you're a third grade teacher and the second grade teachers whine all the time about how tough these kids are. That really helps you, doesn't it? Really builds your confidence, doesn't it? And you know what's funny? You ever notice that the great teacher has great kids every year and the poor teacher has poor kids every year? Have you ever noticed that? If y'all think that's a coincidence, then that's something else. And it's understanding we're the filter, how things come and go. You know, y'all are going to have open house night, back to school night. Y'all have that coming up in the next few days? Can I share with you something? I'm a neutral outsider who's leaving here, so obviously you can discount any advice I share. But can I tell you something? If I had any choice, you know when my open house night or back to school night would be? The first day of school or before school starts. And you know why you want to have it then? Because you're still undefeated. There's no baggage. You know, there's only one purpose of open house night. Do you know what the one purpose of open house night is? To glad hand, to build relationships. Nobody cares about the rules. Nobody cares about the grading policy. Do you know what every parent cares about? If you're going to take care of their kids. That's all they care about. And that's what they want to know at open house night. What happens is if we wait 1, 2, or 3 weeks into the school year before we have open house night, you know what open house night becomes? Mini parent-teacher conferences. And you see, I need to build those relationships then because there's a chance I'm going to need those relationships later. It isn't about the rules. Nobody cares about the rules. They need to know you're going to take care of their kids. It's kind of an interesting thing. One of the things that we have to do is we just have to build trust. The higher the level of trust we can build, the larger the zone of indifference there is. And this sounds like a funny thing there, but let me explain what I mean by zone of indifference. You know what zone of indifference means? Zone of indifference means the fact that people are more willing to accept what I do. They're going to be more willing to accept my decisions. It's not somebody who's nickel and diming me to death. Because you know what, as a teacher, I need to have people trust me, so they give me a large zone of indifference. So they're not nickel and diming and questioning everything I do. Think of it in terms of personal life. Let's say you have a spouse or significant other you really trust. I mean, you really trust them. And let's say that spouse or significant other you really trust is going to run to the convenience store and get some milk. And it ought to take them 10 minutes at the convenience store. However, they're gone 20 minutes. When they get home, somebody you really trust, when they get home, what do you say? You don't say, where you been? How's that one working out? Is that going all right for you? That's called treating people as if they were bad. That's what it is. You know what? If you really trust them, when they come home, you know what you do? You say nothing, or you say, is everything okay, if you were worried that something was wrong? You know why you're not the Spanish Inquisition? Because of the fact that your level of trust is so high, your zone of indifference. However, let's say you have a spouse or significant other you do not trust. No reason to raise your hands. Let's say you have a spouse or significant other you do not trust. And let's say they're going to go to the convenience store and get some milk, and it should take them 10 minutes, and they're back in 8 minutes. What do you say? Why were you gone so long? What took you so long? Did you see anybody? Did you talk to anybody there? What all did you get? Do you have a receipt? Let's go out and check the odometer in the car. And you know what happens? We don't have a high level of trust, thus we have a very small zone of indifference. And you know what? That exact same thing applies to us in terms of building relationships, starting with the first day of school, starting with parent-teacher conferences. It's a funny thing. We used to have parent-teacher, and we had all sorts of contests when we had an open house night. All sorts of contests, because I wanted everybody to be there. Because it was a chance for our school to show off at its best because there was no baggage yet. Nobody was behind in their homework. Nobody'd been in trouble. The kids still want their parents to come because of the fact that they're still undefeated too. And we'd have all sorts of contests. We'd have things where the 6 classes that had the largest, like our 6 first-hour classes or our homeroom classes or advisory classes, the 6 classes that had the largest percentage of people turn out. Not if you have both parents, that counts as 2, but if you have anybody, that counts as 1. The 6 classes that had the largest turnout, we'd have ours on the second day of school. I suggested doing it before school starts, and all the elementaries jumped on it, so we couldn't do it then. And we had it the second day of school, and we promoted it like crazy, and the 6 classes that had the largest percentage of turnouts, myself and my assistant principals would go and serve donuts to all the kids the next day. The kids are undefeated. They all loved the idea of having the principal come in and serve them donuts. And there was no baggage, so they'd want to be there. Well, the teachers actually liked the parents being there because there was no baggage yet. But if we wait 2 weeks into the school year, for some of us in some situations, there's some uncomfortableness, isn't there? The other thing we do is our student council would come in, and with parent volunteers, and they would come in and we'd put a little script together, and they would call every single parent of every single student and invite them to open house night. And we gave the kids a little script. Do you know why we gave the kids a script? Because we didn't want them ad-libbing. There was a real good chance that wasn't going to work out so well. And their little script had, if you get the parent, here's what you say. If you get the student and the parent's not there, here's what you say. If you get a different relative, here's what you say. If you get an answering machine, here's what you say. If it's a busy signal or nobody answers, we go on, and that's what we do. We give it one crack. Because we want as many people as possible, because we want to build credibility by showing our professional, friendly, professional nature. Then we'd have a quick 5-minute orientation, and then the people would go around and visit the teacher. They didn't want to see me, they wanted to see the teacher, but we'd meet for 5 minutes. During that 5 minutes, I would say to the group, to the parents, you can call me anytime you want to. You can call me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call me at work, and I'd give my work number. You can call me at home, and I'd give my home number. My last school, because of all our contests, we had about 1,500 people at open house night. And I'd send them on. How do you think that made people feel for me to tell them they can call me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, home or work? How do you think that made them feel? You know what? They had trust for me, didn't they? They had trust for me. And it was a funny thing I learned, because I would do that, and I'd have parents come up to me afterwards and go, how can you tell 1,500 people to call you at home? And I'd go, well, the idiots will call me anyway. How many of you agree with that statement? That's right, but how did it make people feel? And what's funny is you're thinking you must get so many more calls. I think I got less calls, because good parents would go, you know, I've always called the principal at home, and I know you said you could call us at home, but I figured so many people call you at home, I swore to myself no matter what, I'd never call you at home. How many of you have school-age children? How many in the last 3 years has at least one of you had a teacher that your child, how many of you has one of your children had a teacher you really, really trusted? I don't mean pretty good, I mean you really trusted that teacher. Let's pretend that teacher's name is Mrs. Jones. And let's pretend you really trust this teacher. And your child comes home and says, I have homework in Mrs. Jones's class. A teacher you really trust. Your child says, I have homework in Mrs. Jones's class. What do you tell your child? Do it. Get started. Well, do it. Whatever it is. You don't even question it, right? Do it. Whatever it is. Even if the homework says stick a needle in your child's eye, you're going, come on, honey, don't blink. Hold her steady. Come on, right here. Come on, hold her steady. That's what you do. However, have any of you had a child in which the last 3 years you've had a teacher you did not completely trust? And let's pretend that teacher's name is Mrs. Smith. And let's pretend your child comes home and says, I have homework in Mrs. Smith's class. What do you say? What is it? Let me see it. How much is it worth? How's this going to be scored? Was this a punishment? Did they give this to all their classes or just yours? How's this going to be graded? What percentage of the grading system is this going to be? Is this going to be on a test? Did they teach this material? Did you have to learn it on your own? Did you have to draw it out of a notebook? What happens there? And you know what, folks? We need larger zones of indifference. And you know what we have to do? We have to build trust. If we have situations where there aren't people trusting us, it's because, where we don't have a zone of indifference, it's because we don't have trust. If we feel like we're being nickeled and dimed to death, it's because people don't trust us. And that back to school night, open house night, are opportunities that are golden opportunities that if they're gone, you're never going to have that opportunity again. Because if the first contact is negative, it takes over 8 times longer to overcome that negativity than if the first time contact is positive.